The first thing I noticed was how quiet her house was. The kind of quiet that makes you careful with your footsteps, like sound might break something fragile. She was standing by the counter, hair loosely tied back, sleeves rolled up. Her eyes flicked toward me when I entered, quick, assessing, then back to the dripping faucet. "It's just a leak," she said. "Probably nothing complicated." Her voice carried that steady calm people get after years of handling things themselves. I nodded, but my palms were already damp. Not from the work, but from being near her. She watched me crouch under the sink, and I could feel her presence behind me. Not touching, but close enough that her perfume mixed with the scent of metal and detergent. "You've done this before?" she asked. I smiled, half under my breath. "Couple of times. My dad used to say every man should know how to stop a leak." "Your dad sounds sensible," she said softly. "Mine never fixed anything himself. Just called people." The wrench slipped a little in my hand, the metal cold and wet. "Guess that's one way to do it." She laughed quietly. It wasn't the kind of laugh that filled the room. More like it pressed against the air between us, close and personal. I glanced up then, and she was leaning against the counter, arms crossed. There was something in her expression. Not exactly curiosity, not exactly distance, but a kind of pause, like she was letting herself notice me. Her gaze lingered longer than I expected. And maybe I lingered too. The pipes groaned softly as I twisted the valve shut. The sound broke the stillness, but didn't ease it. "Try it now," I said. She moved beside me, close enough that the fabric of her shirt brushed my shoulder. Her hand reached for the faucet, graceful, slow, but then she hesitated. I looked up, and for a second we both forgot what we were doing. Her fingers hovered near mine, barely a breath apart. I could see a faint scar along her wrist, thin and pale, the kind people stop explaining years ago. "Go ahead," I murmured. Her eyes flicked to mine, steady, unreadable. Then she turned the water on. The faucet sputtered once, then poured clean. Cold drops splashed across our hands, running down to our wrists. She didn't move hers away. Neither did I. The water wasn't the only thing running. There was this small current between us, silent and impossible to name. She smiled faintly, as if to make it less strange. "Guess you fixed it," she said. I should have laughed or said something normal, a joke, a thank you, anything. Instead, I just nodded, still watching the way her hand rested near mine under the steady stream. When she finally turned the tap off, she left her hand there, just for a second too long. Long enough that I wondered if she meant to. The house felt even quieter then. The clock in the hallway ticked once, distant. "I owe you a coffee," she said after a pause. "Or whatever people your age drink." "Coffee's fine," I said, standing. Our eyes met again, a little too directly this time. She looked away first. There was a knock on the front door. Sharp, sudden, pulling the air right out of the moment. She exhaled, half smiling. "You'd better get that," she said. But it was her house, and neither of us moved. The knock at the door went unanswered. Whoever it was gave up after a few seconds, their footsteps fading down the porch steps. She stayed where she was, one hand still on the counter, eyes fixed on the floor as if listening for something else. When she finally looked up, the moment had already slipped away, but not completely. There was still something hanging there, quiet and heavy. "You should probably go," she said softly. "Yeah," I said, though neither of us moved. I came back 2 days later under the excuse of checking the seal. She opened the door slower this time, like she'd expected me but wasn't sure she should. "You don't have to keep checking it," she said. "It's fine. Just making sure," I replied. "Sometimes leaks come back." Her smile was small but real. "Persistent, aren't you?" "Only when something matters." That earned me a pause, the kind where her eyes flick away, then back, searching for a reason to keep talking. She stepped aside to let me in. The house was warm this time, sunlight spilling over the kitchen tiles. I knelt again under the sink, though I wasn't really looking for anything. From where I sat, I could see her reflection in the oven door. Her arms folded, fingers absently brushing her ring finger where no ring. Saturday you live alone? I asked. She hesitated. Mostly. My daughter's at college. Comes home when she remembers I exist. She gave a dry laugh. And there was someone. But not anymore. I tightened the wrench slowly. Sorry. Don't be. It's been a while. The sound of running water filled the small silence between us again. She leaned down beside me to look, her shoulder brushing mine. The faint scent of her shampoo, something clean, like green tea, slipped into the air between us. I tried not to look at her mouth when she spoke, but it was impossible not to notice how close it was. She turned the faucet off and straightened, brushing a damp strand of hair from her cheek. You shouldn't make a habit of fixing things here, she said. Why not? People talk. I don't mind. I do. The firmness in her tone didn't match the way she looked at me. That quick, unsteady glance, like she was already sorry for saying it. I just like helping, I said, quieter now. Her breath caught, barely audible. Then she smiled, tired but kind. You remind me of someone I used to know, she said. I wanted to ask who, but she was already turning away, rinsing a cup she didn't need to rinse. I should get going, I said after a moment. She nodded, still facing the sink. Of course. When I stepped past her, she reached out. Maybe to stop me, maybe not. Her fingers brushed my sleeve and lingered there, just long enough that I felt her hesitation more than her touch. Then she let go. The sound of dripping water started again behind me, steady and soft. A rhythm I couldn't unhear that I wasn't supposed to be there that late. The porch light was off, the house mostly dark except for a faint glow spilling from the kitchen. I told myself I was just passing by, that I'd only stop if her car was in the driveway. It was. When she opened the door, she looked surprised, but not shocked. It's late, she said, holding the frame with one hand, a mug in the other. I know. I was nearby. Her brow lifted slightly. And the sink started calling your name again? I smiled. Something like that. She hesitated, then stepped aside. Fine. But I don't make excuses to the neighbors if they start asking questions. Guess we'll just fix quietly, I said. Inside, the house smelled faintly of rain. A jacket hung on the chair. A half-written letter sat on the counter. She'd been alone a while. I didn't think you'd come back, she said, rinsing her mug. Most people don't return to awkward places. Maybe I like awkward places. Her hand paused in the sink, fingers tracing the rim of the cup. You shouldn't say things like that. Why not? She turned, drying her hands slowly, watching me. Because you're too young to mean them. The air thickened between us, that quiet kind of tension that doesn't need touching to feel close. Age doesn't make it less true, I said. She didn't answer, just walked past me to the table, sat down, and gestured toward the chair across from her. Sit. Tell me why you're really here. I sat. My knee brushed hers under the table. Neither of us moved it away. I wanted to see you, I said. Her breath caught, not loud, but enough. She set the towel down, folded it carefully. You shouldn't want that. I know. Then why? I don't know. We both laughed softly, and it felt dangerous, like we'd stepped over something invisible. She leaned back, eyes softer now. You remind me of when I used to believe people meant what they said. And now, I'm too old to pretend I don't know better. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of everything neither of us dared to say. I reached out without thinking, and my fingers brushed the back of her hand. She didn't pull away, just stared at the contact like it was something fragile and temporary. Then a sound. A phone buzzing on the counter. Her eyes darted to it. A name lit the screen, Mark. She pulled her hand back quickly, standing. I should. But the phone stopped before she finished the sentence. I stood too, heart pounding. I should go. She shook her head slightly. No. Just stay. A minute. We didn't talk. We just stood there, a few inches apart. The rain outside hit harder against the window, each drop sinking with the pulse in my throat. When she looked up again, we were closer than before. Close enough that I could see the faint lines near her eyes, the way her breath trembled. She leaned forward first, just slightly, and I forgot how to breathe. Then she stopped. Her voice was barely a whisper. This can't happen. But she didn't move away. Neither of us spoke for a long time. The rain filled the silence, steady and unrelenting, blurring the world outside her windows. The air between us felt charged, like the room itself was holding its breath, waiting to see what we'd do. She turned first, walking toward the counter, her movements too controlled to be calm. "You should really stop showing up here," she said. "I've tried. Try harder." I stepped closer. "You don't want me to." Her shoulders tensed. "You don't know what I want. Then tell me." She turned around sharply, and for the first time, I saw the anger underneath her restraint. Not at me, maybe not even at this, but at herself. "You think this is simple?" she said, voice shaking. "You think you can just walk in here, fix a sink, and what? Fix me too?" I swallowed hard. "No. Don't say it." But it was too late for silence. "I think about you," I said. "More than I should. More than's good for either of us." The confession hung there, raw and unpolished. Her breath hitched. She didn't look away this time. Slowly, she took a step toward me. Then another. "You shouldn't," she whispered. "I know." Her hand lifted, hesitated, then brushed my jaw, just once, as if testing the reality of me. "You're too young," she said again, but softer now, like she was trying to convince herself. "Maybe," I said, "but that doesn't make this less real." The space between us vanished. Her perfume, faint citrus, warm skin, filled the air. My heartbeat was loud enough I was sure she could hear it. She reached up, fingers brushing my hair back from my forehead. The motion was slow, deliberate, almost tender. "This is a mistake," she murmured. "I don't care." Her hand trembled slightly against my neck, and I felt the moment when her restraint started to crack. The breath she took, the tiny sound in her throat, the way she leaned in just enough for her warmth to graze mine. The clock ticked once. The house creaked. The world outside kept raining. Her lips parted. Not a word, just breath. And I felt everything tilt toward something inevitable. Then a knock at the door shattered it. She froze, eyes wide, hand still against my cheek. The knock came again, firmer this time. Neither of us moved. "Who is it?" I whispered. She didn't answer right away. Her pulse was visible at her throat. Finally, she said, "It's my daughter." The words landed between us like a drop of cold water. Her hand fell away. We stood there, still close, still charged, still undone, but now every second was borrowed time. I stepped back, trying to breathe, but she caught my wrist. Her grip was light, almost desperate. "Don't go," she said quietly. "Not yet." The knock came again, and this time she didn't move to answer it. The knocking stopped, but it didn't ease the tension. She stood still, listening, her hand still on my wrist. Then, from outside, a voice. Muffled, hesitant, unmistakably young. "Mom? I saw your car. Are you home?" Her daughter. The air snapped tight around us. She let go of me as if burned, pressing a hand to her mouth before answering. "Just a second." Her voice wavered. Not loud enough to carry confidence, just enough to hold panic. I stepped back, heart pounding. She looked at me once. A silent command. I didn't move fast enough. "Go," she whispered sharply. "Through the back." I hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Yes, please." I slipped through the narrow kitchen doorway toward the back hall, but before I turned the corner, I looked back. She was fixing her hair in the reflection of the window, straightening her shirt, steadying her breath. By the time the front door opened, I was hidden, but I could still hear everything. "Hey, Mom," her daughter said. "Sorry for just showing up." "That's fine," she replied, voice steadier now. "You scared me. Thought I'd surprise you." A pause. Footsteps. Then the soft clink of the mug she'd left on the counter. "Were you with someone?" the girl asked. I thought I heard. "No," she interrupted too quickly. "Just the TV." I turned it off. I closed my eyes. My pulse felt like thunder in my throat. Her daughter's voice came again, softer. "You're shaking." "I'm fine," she said, almost whispering. I waited until I heard the sound of another door, the creak of floorboards overhead, before stepping out. She was leaning against the counter, both hands gripping the edge as if holding herself upright. "She doesn't know," I said. "She can't," she replied without turning. I didn't say anything. Her shoulders lifted, then fell. "Doesn't matter. She's not stupid." I moved closer. "Neither are you." She turned then, slowly, eyes shining with something between anger and despair. "You think this is about getting caught? Isn't it?" "No," her voice cracked. "It's about me. About what this makes me." I reached for her hand, but she pulled it back, shaking her head. "You don't understand," she whispered. I told her I was done with men who made me feel small. I promised her that. I told her I'd learned. "Then don't break it," I said quietly. Her eyes met mine, wet, fierce. "It's too late." The silence that followed was different. Not awkward or hesitant, but raw. She stepped closer, close enough that I could feel her trembling. "I told myself you were just kind," she said. "That it didn't mean anything. And now," her hand brushed my chest, tentative, trembling. "Now I can't lie to either of us." The sound of footsteps upstairs made her flinch, but she didn't move away. "Go," she whispered again, voice shaking. "Before I do something I can't undo." I didn't move. Her breath touched my neck, warm and uneven. "Please," she said. But the way she said it, it wasn't a command anymore. It was a confession. It rained again the next evening. Harder this time. The kind of rain that swallows all sound. The kind that makes the world smaller, more private. I told myself I wouldn't go back. That I'd leave her alone. Let what happened dissolve into memory. But some things refused to stay buried. Her porch light was on. I knocked once. No answer. When I turned to leave, the door opened behind me. "You shouldn't be here," she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes gave her away. "I know." "Then why are you?" "Because I didn't want to leave things like that." She sighed. That quiet, tired sound of someone who's been fighting with herself all day. "And how do you expect to leave them now?" "Honestly." That word lingered between us. Then she stepped aside, letting me in. The house was dim, the same lamp glowing in the corner, the same scent of her, soft, familiar, impossible to shake. She didn't sit. Neither did I. We just stood there, facing each other like two people who'd run out of excuses. "I thought about you," she said finally. "All night." I took a step closer. "Then we're both guilty." Her mouth twitched, not quite a smile. "This isn't supposed to happen." Maybe it already did. Her breath caught, a quiet inhale that felt louder than any confession. I could see the pulse at her throat, the way her fingers twisted together before she let them fall. "I'm scared," she said. "Of what?" "Of wanting this. Of what it'll mean if I do." I moved closer, close enough to feel the heat between us. My hand brushed her arm, just lightly, enough to feel her shiver. "It already means something," I whispered. She looked up at me then, no walls, no pretending. Just everything she'd been holding back. Her eyes glistened, not from tears, but from the weight of choosing. "You make me forget who I'm supposed to be," she said. "Maybe that's not a bad thing." The space between us collapsed. My hand found her face, her skin cool under my palm. She didn't pull away, just stood still, her breath uneven, her lips parted but silent. The rain hit harder against the windows, filling every pause. She leaned into my touch. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. The hesitation, the guilt, the world outside. Then she shook her head slowly, her voice barely more than a breath. "If I don't stop this now, I never will." "You don't have to." "Yes, I do." Her forehead rested against mine, and we both stood there, eyes closed, suspended between everything we wanted and everything we feared. "I can't be another mistake," she whispered. "You're not." "I will be," she said, and then she stepped back. The loss of warmth felt immediate, sharp. She gave a faint, broken smile. "You'll understand one day." I nodded, though I already did. When I left, the rain followed me out. Heavy, relentless, washing everything clean except the one thing that wouldn't fade. The feel of her breath against my skin. Right before she let go. 3 weeks passed before I saw her again. The rain had stopped, the air turned mild, and the world looked new in that quiet way it does after something breaks. I told myself I wasn't waiting. But the truth is, I walked past her street more than once, slowing down every time I saw her curtains half open. Nothing ever moved behind them. Until today. Her car was in the driveway. The front door slightly open, as if she'd stepped out just to breathe. When she saw me at the gate, she didn't look surprised. Just tired, the kind of tired that comes from thinking too much, feeling too much, for too long. "Hey," I said. "Hey," she echoed, voice soft. Neither of us moved for a second. Then she nodded toward the porch. "You might as well come in. You're here anyway." I smiled faintly, still not making it easy for me. Never said I would. Inside, the house felt different. Lighter somehow. The air no longer heavy with guilt. Just quiet, expectant. She poured coffee for both of us without asking. We sat at the kitchen table where everything had started. Same seat, same light, same unspoken pull. "I've been trying to forget," she said after a while. "Didn't work." "I know," I admitted. "Me neither." She looked at me then, really looked, like she was seeing something she'd stopped fighting. Her smile was small but steady. "You deserve someone who isn't afraid of being seen with you." "Maybe I just want someone who sees me," I said. That quiet between us again. But softer now. Not sharp or dangerous. Just real. Her hand rested on the table, palm open. I hesitated only a second before covering it with mine. Her fingers curled gently around my thumb. Familiar, trembling, alive. "I was scared of what people would think," she said. "But they don't have to know what this is. Not yet." "And what is it?" I asked. She smiled, eyes crinkling at the edges. "Something we'll figure out slowly, without running from it this time." I nodded. No promises, no declarations. Just a quiet understanding that this time, neither of us would walk away. Outside, the late afternoon light spilled through the window, catching the gold in her hair. I reached out, brushed a loose strand behind her ear. She didn't look away. For a moment, it felt like the world had finally stopped pushing against us. She leaned in, resting her forehead against mine. No words, no hesitation, just a small exhale that carried every unsaid thing between us. When she finally spoke, it was barely above a whisper. "You really did fix more than the sink." I smiled, voice low against her skin. "You turned the water on." We stayed like that for a long time, her hand warm in mine, the world outside soft and forgiving, everything else quiet for once. And somehow that was enough. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?